Good afternoon. I'm Mark Allen with Gabriel.io, and I'm here today with another Mark Hamade, the co-founder and advisor to CanETH. Good afternoon, Mark. How you doing?
Good afternoon, Mark. Nice to be on here with you.
Thank you, and I'm glad you could join us. I decided to go with the snow theme today because a lot of the country's snowed in. What do you think? And you've got a nice.
I like it. I like it. It's relaxing.
Yeah, it is. It is. One thing I didn't tell you is I'm from Buffalo, New York, so I'm very familiar with this scene.
I love Buffalo. I've been there, and it's beautiful. It's right next to Canada, and just the food and the people. It's actually, having lived in New York, it's a little different than actual New York.
Yeah, it's a lot different than New York City. Yes. So, and it's about the same distance as San Francisco to LA, just maybe a little longer. So, and where I am now, I'm in San Francisco now. So, to start with, can you share a brief background of yourself and your work experience?
Sure. So I'm Lebanese, born in '74, moved to the U.S., joined the Marines to get citizenship. So I've dealt with war. I've seen the atrocities. I'm from a business standpoint, I'm an operator. I help build companies, grow them. I've done manufacturing, telecom, so forth. Been what I would call a VP of HR, which is human remains, then became a people operations leader, then moved into a COO, CEO role, raised money, invested, coach, lifestyle coach, things like that. On the personal side, I was in a wheelchair for 2 years after breaking my back, got to 394, lost 154 pounds. I've had 17 surgeries, beat cancer 3 times, including stage 4. So I always say I learned to pivot, and I pivot in everything I do.
Interesting. I mean, you very rarely hear of someone beating stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
We'll actually have to talk. A very good friend of mine is the head of oncology at UCSF. So we might have something to talk about there.
Yes.
So, well, let's talk about something else now. I mean, beating cancer is definitely positive. Let's talk about CanETH. What does CanETH do? What sets you apart from your competition, and who is your target audience?
Yeah, well, I look at CanETH. What we're trying to do is with the Ethereum to be able to mine it through green technology. So basically, you're not using the electricity. If you look at solar, if you look at a lot of things, even the batteries with Elon Musk and so forth, everything has an advantage but a disadvantage. And coals, for example, with solar and with blockchain and Bitcoin, you're using a lot of electricity. So with CanETH, that's more green, not using electricity. And I don't like to say it's better or this or that, because I want everybody to have good jobs and so forth. I just look at it as it's just another form of mining Ethereum, but mining it in a way where it does not hurt the environment.
Very interesting. That's unique in that I am familiar with mining, so you don't have these big algorithms you have to solve. Is that really basic?
Correct. And again, it's something new. So I want to always state that, just like me beating cancer, it's still cancer. It's still the number 2 thing that's killing people, right? So this isn't 1 + 1 = 2. You keep reiterating, you keep improving, and you keep moving. But at least we're on the right step of not using electricity and doing it green. Kind of like, I would say, profit, planet, and people. So you want to take care of the people. You don't want to kill the planet, and it has to be profitable, because at the end of the day, you work to take care of your family and those people you love.
Right. No, I agree. And because it's Ethereum built on blockchain, you still get the security of blockchain, right?
Absolutely. And I want to say security is a big, tough thing, and no one has really, from a security standpoint, it is great, but we're working on it, and we need to do a much better job. What people don't realize is every day banks are being broken into, and a lot of money is being stolen on a daily basis. So security is a big thing, and just we need to keep innovating on that. But to me, that's when you look in the future, that's the number 1 thing that everybody has to worry about, is how fast it's losing your identity, how fast these things are happening. So no one has solved it perfectly. There are great measures to do, but to say 100% secure, I would never say that.
Nothing's ever 100%. Interesting. I did a webinar with 3 cybersecurity experts last week, and all 3 said the same thing. If you're not using 2-factor authentication, you are eventually going to get compromised.
You have to, I look at a company as a child.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really take care of your child and care for them. And you cannot be sloppy. And if you are sloppy, for example, if you're in the airport and you're not under security, they can hack you. When you charge your phone, I use a special device to put it on my phone when I'm at the airport. If you charge your phone and you're not even using it, they can go through that connection and put a thing in your system. So you're always susceptible if you're not on a private VPN.
Yeah, you're right. So let's talk about CanETH and you're a company based in LA, right? Is the majority of the company in LA, or are they throughout the world?
No. So actually, it was started in Toronto. And there are people all over the world. And when you talk about remote work and so forth, I thought that's very applicable in that sense. But it was started on Toronto, and it's actually the first Ethereum blockchain company that has got. We took it public a couple of days ago on the Toronto Exchange.
Toronto Exchange. Interesting. What was there was a company last week that from Toronto but it wasn't in blockchain. I think it was in cannabis that did a lot of this.
Yeah. Well, the problem with cannabis, and this probably better than anybody, having been in business, when you are able to make money just by order taking, not by actually having a true business, eventually that will fail.
Yes.
And it goes through up and down. And cannabis is one of those things that just because you say cannabis, you're going to be making money. And a lot of people who've just smoked weed and partied and so forth, nothing against them, just opened up companies doing that. Well, when you start having supply chain manufacturing, if you don't have experience,
it's a business.
You can't. So, raising money is one thing. Making money is another thing. Having a sustainable business that pays employees well and so forth, but budgeting your P&L, it's something else, right? So I always say I've done a lot of things, and I like to go into companies where I haven't done one thing, because that's what exercises my brain. But I'll never be, for example, a CFO. I can read a P&L, I understand pivot tables, but that's not me. So you have to know what you are and what you're not.
Right.
And a lot of those people sometimes do something which they're not, and they let ego take for it. Well, so I'm not surprised with this.
Yeah, a lot of successful companies have one CEO to start, and then they have another CEO for growth, and then they have another CEO for sustaining, because they are different skills.
Yes.
And the ones that don't realize that a lot of times don't get from point A to point B.
Yeah, I mean, I always say you have to have responsibility and accountability. You can't put blame everywhere else, right? And again, I think why women succeed so well is women are, not all, but overall, are not egotistical. Like I met, for example, Mother Teresa. She is very firm. She's very strong. She was like a true CEO, right? But she was confident. She wasn't egotistical. Yeah. So it's like when I was trying to beat cancer in stage 4, I said, okay, chemo's is not working as well. Can I cut these things out and then do chemo more on there? Well, if I'm going to die anyway, let me put a plan together to do that. I didn't say, well, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. I'm just going to eat whatever and drink whatever and so forth. That's ego. Confidence is putting a plan in place and believing in that plan and pivoting when you want to. And I think that's how companies become successful.
Right. So now CanETH is a remote company, but what happened when COVID hit? I mean, did that really cause any problems that you didn't expect, or because you really were remote to start, it was really just business as usual?
Well, COVID to me was a blessing, even though at first it was a curse. Because at first it's a curse because everything's going down, everything's shut down. You're losing, businesses that we have, for example, from restaurants to gyms to whatever, to some businesses we invested money in that just ended up completely going bankrupt, clothing stores, so forth. Some that were already on the brink before even COVID, right? It escalated it, right? But where it has benefited it, and people forget, is as soon as the government started abusing the dollar and making it like printable and easy, and let's just keep printing money, that gave more of credibility for the blockchain. So that allowed blockchain and Ethereum to rise and rise and rise. So one of the people that I work with, just to put it in perspective, right now Bitcoin is at 47,000. He bought quite a bit at 10 cents.
Oh my God.
At 10 cents. So when you say, Mark, is he a billionaire? Yes.
Obviously.
Significant.
You see he bought quite a bit, yeah.
You know, now he also has 4,000 coins. Now you say, well, spray and shoot, right? Spray and burn. With even if 5 of them do well, Bitcoin, Ethereum, you know, Chainlink, maybe, you're still fine, right? But this isn't a person that's all he had. He had a very, very successful, thriving business to begin with, and decided to take a small percentage and revert it. Kind of like if you go to your Morgan Stanley or JP investment advisor, he'll tell you, take 1% of whatever and do whatever you want in it, right?
Swing for the fences.
So yeah, and one thing he did well is he didn't become greedy, meaning as selling at different times. You can't just say, well, I'm just going to wait till it's 50,000 when it's 10 cents. You don't know, but it's gone up to 3, it's gone up to 16. I've had somewhere it went up to 20 and then went down to 3. You just have to be smart and do it at the right times. But if you keep wondering on how much you lost and how much it could have been or whatever, it doesn't work, right? And so that's where COVID, I think, worked well and didn't work well.
Yeah, no, it didn't. And it's funny because I always tell people when it comes to the stock market, they say, I've got this much. And I said, you don't really have that much until you sell it. Right?
Correct.
You have it digitally, but until that sale is complete, you do not own that much money.
Yeah, and I look at it kind of like weight loss. Everybody has abs, right? Everybody has abs, but who can see the abs of a person? It depends on your, so it's the same thing. Everybody has that stock where it could be millions of dollars or it could be nothing. It's about when does it show? Yeah,
no, I agree. Well, Mark, I want to thank you for your time today. Fascinating story. I can say I'm glad that you beat cancer. How many times? 3 times?
3 times. And now I will say this, what's interesting is 16 people, because people tell me, do you eat healthy and this? And I say, absolutely. But I say, look, sometimes it's just within the genes. 16 of my family members have perished to cancer. So it's in the family. So I don't anymore, I just embrace it. And I'm like, what do? Just got to pivot.
Right.
Just got to pivot. And then I do have chronic pain all the time. But one of the reasons that kept me going is I live for the people who died. There's a bunch of people that I know, and I've talked to their families, who deserve to live, who wanted to live, who are stronger than me, who've done more than me, who are more committed, who are more everything, and they deserve to live, but they didn't. Cancer took them.
Wow.
So I feel like I live for them because God gave me that opportunity. And why complain about my pain and chronic pain? That's arrogant, because those people would have embraced the chronic pain and lived it. They don't want to be away from their families.
I agree. Well, Mark, you're an amazing man. I'm glad you took the time to join us today, and have a great week.
It's an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.